Good evening and welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday night's calendar.
Good evening, here are tonight's main stories.
Chancellor Rachel Reeves delivers her budget speech to the nation. We look at what it means for our region.
The latest on a daytime shooting in Sheffield as a 16-year-old boy remains in a critical condition in hospital.
One of the world's most recognisable board games, once made in Yorkshire, celebrates a milestone birthday.
And after a frosty but clear start today, clouding up, temperatures on the rise and winds strengthening. All the detail a little later on.
Well, from Westminster to West Yorkshire, Leeds West and Pudsey MP Chancellor Rachel Reeves took centre stage today to deliver her long-awaited budget.
The headlines include a focus on stability and a freeze on income tax thresholds, as well as a lifting of the two-child benefit cap.
There was good news for those on British Coal staff superannuation coal pension schemes, with extra retirement payments unlocked. Crucially for us, the Chancellor also announced a new Leeds City Fund for a local transport facelift for roads, cycle paths and transport in the city.
And she said she'd increase online gambling taxes, introduce a fund for mayors for skills programmes and release money for miners' pensions.
I said there would be no return to austerity and I meant it. This budget will maintain investment in our economy and in our National Health Service. I said I would cut the cost of living and I meant it.
Well, in a moment, we'll hear from John Hill talking to businesses in York, and our political correspondent Fred Dimbleby speaks with those in the heart of power at Westminster.
In Rotherham today, though, parents with young children have been reacting to today's budget, which is aimed at helping some families, whilst others say they'll be worse off.
Businesses who cater for parents and their little ones say they'll be hit hard by some of the Chancellor's decisions. Some say they'll have to work harder to take home less. Katie Oscroft reports.
Mila is playing at make-believe, but the reality of today's budget is harsh. Children at this play centre in Swinton can pretend to work and shop without worrying about how much it costs. But for the owner of this business, today's budget brought no relief and more burdens. Employing staff on a rising minimum wage is one of them, while costs keep rising too.
They could have looked at VAT reform, they could have looked at rate reform, they could have looked at helping small businesses in terms of energy costs.
How does that minimum wage going to affect you?
So it affects everything. We want to pay people what they're worth and we want to help them get on with their lives. But we need help to do that. There needs to be a bit of give and take.
I do a lot of the childcare.
Mila's grandma works full-time as well and even helps her working children pay their bills.
Especially now, the cost of living, I think it's really difficult for small families, and I think even as a nurse I see how some of our nurses struggle.
Pop it on our hands.
A few miles away in Parkgate, these babies are quite relaxed on the Chancellor's big day, but running this centre is more of a worry.
It's a treat for some people and, not everyone can afford it. A lot of people in this area, it's still a deprived area, we've got pockets of deprivation that have not seemed to have changed in the last 30 years, really, whoever's in charge of the government.
Some parents here would have liked the Chancellor to offer more help with childcare.
If you don't have all the childcare support in family, which unfortunately I don't, you're just really limited. There's not really many options other than to not work full time.
Can I take a call?
Amy does business in places like this. She employs some staff, but she's having to work 7 days a week to break even.
Quite hard at the minute because everything is just going up. So all the costs are rising, but we can't really put our prices up because people can't afford to come and pay because we're a luxury. It feels at the minute like nobody wants small businesses to exist.
That bad?
Yeah.
Running a business like this, say the owners, is far from child's play, and the road ahead has just got harder to navigate. Katie Oscroft, ITV News, Rotherham.
Well, part of the budget saw regional mayors given the power to introduce tourism levies, a modest charge added to the cost of overnight stays at hotels, B&Bs and holiday lets.
North Yorkshire Mayor David Skaith backed the scheme for places like York, but some worry that the so-called tourist tax may put people off from visiting. Well, John Hill has been speaking to people in the city today, and how has it gone down there?
Well, let's be clear, Lara, if you don't have to pay more, well, you wouldn't want to, would you? Look, you see the decorations are up, it's feeling quite festive, and look at these pictures we got a little earlier of the Christmas market. It attracts tens of thousands of visitors to York in the run-up to Christmas, and they bring in a fortune to the city's economy. But in future, if there was this so-called visitor levy of, say, what, £1 or £2 on staying overnight in somewhere like York, would it deter them? What do people at the market think about the idea?
No, I don't think they should. I think it's spoiling it. It's just an extra cost. I think we have to pay extra for coming in. You know, everything's extra, isn't it? And by the time you've done, your holiday is gone double.
It is a benefit. I think that it's okay. I can pay it. Right.
And £2 would be okay for you?
Yeah, it's okay.
If it goes back into the local community and kind of the independent spaces for kind of the upkeep, then I think I would actually, I'd be okay with it.
Well, one of those really pushing this is the Mayor of York and North Yorkshire, David Skaith.
The visitor levy for us is absolutely a game changer. 41 million people come to York and North Yorkshire every year. A modest amount on an overnight stay on that could transform transport connectivity right across our region and support the much needed tourism hospitality sector right across our region.
He's for, but those against, and this won't come as a surprise, are many of the city's hoteliers. They worry, well, it's going to take money out of their pockets because it's another expense. Have a listen to what their boss said.
Hoteliers in York are worried about the implementation of the tourism levy tax because adding a £1 or £2 to the face value suggests that it's not a lot. However, it adds up to the guest bill. The secondary spend in our hotels has seen a decline year on year for about £3 to £4. So that tells us that the consumers are very price conscious. So adding £1 or £2 additional to their bill will not increase the visitors in York.
So some concerns from the hoteliers. Let's talk to another man who knows the industry well, tourism in York. That's Andrew Paulson. Andrew, you're the boss of not just here, the York Chocolate Story, but also with the Emmerdale and the Corrie Experience. A tourism levy. What do you say?
Fundamentally, it's going to have some sort of impact. It must have some sort of impact. You've seen today, I'm sure, the thriving tourist economy in York, but anything that becomes a barrier to that is going to be impactful. And not just for us, but actually for all of the tourist attractions, but the hoteliers, the restaurateurs, etc. People will think about how they spend their money and whether they go to one paid-for attraction, and then, do they skip the meal? Do they not take a taxi ride home? So it's the impact across the whole city, I think, is the biggest challenge.
Well, we must leave it there, Andrew. Let's see what happens. There is a consultation open, and I know you want to have your say on that, don't you?
Absolutely.
This consultation goes on till next February, but let's be honest, it sounds like the visitor levy will be coming in.
John Hill, thank you very much, and we will be following that story in due course. Well, our political correspondent, Fred Dimbleby, watched events unfold at Westminster this afternoon. Good evening, Fred. A huge day for the Chancellor and the region, so how do you think it all went?
Well, it probably couldn't have got off to a worse start, to be honest. This is a government that's been criticised many times for leaking too much ahead of this budget. But this morning, their independent forecaster, the Office for Budget Responsibility, accidentally published many of the key details that were due to be in the budget. So when the Leeds MP, the Chancellor, stood up for this moment of great drama as she announced the budget to the House of Commons, well, we knew much of what was going to be in it. How did it all go? Well, I think in comparison to briefing that income tax was going to rise, the fact that that didn't happen, I think, has made Labour MPs pretty happy about the whole budget. They point to the fact that that two-child benefit cap will go from next year. They think that is a very good move, something that a lot of them have campaigned on. One of the biggest cheers, though, in the House was for the announcement that former coal miners would get access to that £2.3 billion pot from the British Coal Staff superannuation scheme. Just have a listen to the moment that was announced.
I have heard representations from Labour coalfield MPs, including my honourable friends, the members for Bassetlaw, Blyth and Ashington, Barnsley South, Mansfield and Llanelli. And today I can announce that I will transfer the Investment Reserve Fund of the British Coal Staff Superannuation Scheme to its members.
Well, earlier I spoke to two MPs from the region, the Conservative Party chairman, Kevin Hollinrake, and Sally Jameson, who is the Labour MP for Doncaster Central. She has many members of the scheme in her constituency. This is how she reacted to that news that she and others have pushed for some time.
It means so much, and it's a long injustice that has finally been righted, and I know there are 726 BCSS members in Doncaster Central that are going to benefit from the announcement today, and so I'm really pleased that after a long campaign by the trustees, by the Coalfield MPs and others, that we finally got this decision.
Good news for them, but £26 billion of tax rises announced in this budget. How do you defend that to people who voted for you last year?
Well, when people voted Labour, they voted for change. Our public services were crumbling. I know myself as a former prison officer how the prison estate was left, and so we came in with a terrible inheritance. But what we've done both in this budget and the last budget is have a reset, make sure our NHS has the investment it needs, make sure that we get our borrowing down, get our economy back on a steady footing so that everyone can feel the benefits of a Labour government, and I think we've heard that today.
Kevin Hollinrake, Party Chairman.
Well, what you've done is actually put taxes up when you said you wouldn't. You said the taxes wouldn't go up before the election, and you say £26 billion of tax rises. That's in the final year. Over the course of this next 5 years, it's £120 billion in total of income tax rises. These are personal taxes that people are going to pay. And to pay for what? To pay for welfare increases, an extra £90 billion of welfare increases.
I'm not going to apologise that we are putting money into lifting children out of poverty. I'm not going to apologise for the fact that we have a welfare state that makes sure when people fall on hard times that there is a security net.
Two-child benefit cap going. How do you feel about that?
I think it's the wrong thing. I mean, the best way out of poverty is work. And there are 180,000 fewer jobs in our economy since Labour took over. That's the reality of all this. So the best way to get those people out of poverty, those young people out of poverty, is work. That's the reality.
I don't think that anyone watching this who is paying the price for Liz Truss's budget and those higher mortgage rates believe a word that's just been said that there at all. And actually, it is about digging out the mess that we were left.
Final question for both of you. We had a lot of leaks before this budget, a lot of U-turns as well. Do you think Rachel Reeves will stick by all these measures?
The trouble is when you keep raising taxes, you suppress investment, it's a doom loop of lower taxes, that lower tax receipts, that's what will happen. So the forecasts won't be achieved, and actually she'll probably come back again for some more down the line.
I don't accept that at all. And I think that people will look at this at the end and when it's all settled in and think, yes, I'm going to feel better off and I feel that the country is turning round, and that's what it's all about.
Some interesting thoughts there, Fred. But while we didn't see that increase to income tax, taxes did rise.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And, well, as you say, we didn't see that increase. The freezing of the tax thresholds will mean that hundreds of thousands of people eventually end up in higher tax brackets if they get pay increases. And that is significant. Also, in this budget as a whole, as I mentioned in that discussion, there are £26 billion of tax increases. And meanwhile, welfare spending continues to rise, because while that two-child benefit cap will be welcomed by many, it will also mean that there is more spending on welfare. And that is something that the other opposition parties are criticising strongly tonight.
Well, it's a bit of a missed opportunity yet again. You know, people were expecting a lot more. What we've seen is tax. You name it, there's a tax for it. Whether it be milkshakes, whether it be taxis, it's just across the board, left, right and centre, tax and spend. But the worst thing about that is the spending's not going in the right places. There's a complete lack of investment when I look in terms of for Yorkshire.
Who is going to pay all these increased taxes? Not just the frozen thresholds, they're bad enough, but all the other taxes, whether it's on taxes or whatever else it may be, basically working people are going to be subsidising a welfare bill that shows no sign of going down whatsoever.
And as you mentioned earlier on, there are a few other bits for the region here. The Leeds City Fund announced, as you mentioned, which will bring in hopefully some new money for the city and a recommitment to Northern Powerhouse Rail, although as we reported earlier in the year, no clear plan of what that means yet, nor a figure of how much it is going to cost though. But considering how the day started, considering how the weeks leading up to this moment have been, I think Rachel Reeves and the government will be feeling relatively happy with how this has gone down among Labour MPs, but with that many measures in place, with that many different tax changes announced, it will take some time to work out exactly what this means and whether it can help the government claw back some support among the public.
Fred Dimbleby, thank you very much in Westminster Hall for us.
Well, I wonder what you think. We have, in fact, been asking for your thoughts on all the issues raised in today's budget, and you've been in touch with us via social media. Joseph Buchanan said the tax threshold is being extended to 2030. That means a lot of average earners will be paying 40% tax on anything over £50,000. And that is a lot of tax revenue. We're being taken for a ride again, he says.
Yes, Jason Lawrence adds that for additional children, you'll receive £17.25 per week, while the first or only child gets the high rate of £26.05 per week. This is not going to pull children out of poverty, is it, he says.
Donna Gregory posted, the fact is the country doesn't have enough tax coming in for everything the country needs. All she can do is tinker around a bit to make it look better for the books. That's all that any Chancellor does.
Well, thank you for all of those, and do remember that you can still join the conversation over on Facebook by searching for the ITV calendar page, worth having a look at. Still to come on tonight's calendar. Yorkshire's influence on a 90-year-old ball game that's brought joy and frustration in equal measures.
And it's a game of two halves temperature-wise overnight tonight. A frosty start this morning, double figures by tomorrow morning. All the detail a little later on.
Well, let's have a look at more of the day's news now. And a second teenager has been arrested over the shooting of a 16-year-old boy in Sheffield.
The suspect, who's also 16, was arrested last night following the shooting on London Road on Monday evening. Now, there are calls from youth workers in the city for more to be done to end the violence. Here's Michael Billington.
A return to relative normality today on the street where just 48 hours ago a teenage boy became the latest victim of gun crime in Sheffield. And yet the ripple effects of Monday night's shooting reached deep into this community.
There's so many kids that whose lives are getting destroyed. Mothers are scared. I'm scared. Am I doing enough? I ask myself those questions.
Syra Ershad's been working with young people in the city for much of the last decade. In that time, she says far too little has been done to help keep them safe from violent crime.
Where are our local councillors? Where are the local police officers patrolling and really getting to know our kids so our kids can come up to them and say, look, these are the issues, this is what I'm facing. How many lives are we going to lose before people actually take notice?
It was 5:15 Monday night rush hour when the 16-year-old was shot here on London Road. He was taken to hospital with what police described as life-threatening injuries.
Two boys, a 15 and a 16-year-old, are now being held on suspicion of conspiracy to commit murder. The second boy arrested by police last night. And while officers have thanked people for providing what they've described as vital information, they also believe that the community may still hold crucial answers about this attack.
As detectives continue their work across the city, those like boxing coach Ronnie Tucker continue with their efforts to try and offer youngsters a positive alternative to violent crime.
Why does it seem like we can't get on top of this problem?
There's no plan. I think Sheffield needs a plan. There's a lot of emphasis on, we talk about knife archers now, we talk about bleed kits, we talk about other things, knife bins, which is great and everything has a place. But for me, we're not doing enough about the preventative stuff.
Today, though, the South Yorkshire Mayor denied that, insisting that tackling violent crime remains a top priority.
We're one of the only places in the country to have a violence reduction unit. They are people who go out into our communities, work with boxing clubs, football clubs, you name it, in order to reach out to kids and help them to get off the streets and not act on that violence. But it's also got to be about poverty, it's got to be about injustice, and it's got to be about more police on the streets, tackling that crime when it does happen. And all of those things are happening in South Yorkshire. But when these incidents do happen, it's awful, it's scary, it's horrible for our communities.
Tonight, this community is struggling to comprehend the events of Monday evening as the boy who was shot here continues to fight for his life. Michael Billington, ITV News in Sheffield.
A man found dead at his family farm near Newark has been named locally as police continue to search for his father, who they believe has been killed. The body of 52-year-old Charles Wright was discovered at a farm in Langford on Saturday. He's thought to have taken his own life and has been linked to a hit and run earlier that day and also the suspected death of his father. 82-year-old Brian Wright was reported missing last week. Nottinghamshire police say they're not looking for anyone else in relation to either incident.
Bird flu has been confirmed at a beauty spot in South Yorkshire after dead birds were found. Health and safety measures have been introduced at Lakeside in Doncaster. People are being told to stay away from birds, walk only on footpaths and to keep dogs on leads. The UK Health Security Agency says the risk to human health is low.
Next to a suspected arson attack in Birkby near Huddersfield, where police are investigating a major fire that extensively damaged a popular local florist shop on St John's Road late last night.
Police say they were called to the scene shortly before 11 p.m, though thankfully no one was injured. Helen Steele reports.
Well, police have confirmed that what happened here at around 10:40 last night was a suspected arson attack. It began in a florist but rapidly destroyed at least 3 businesses here on St John's Road in Birkby. Now, one of those is a cafe that's been here for nearly 15 years. A little earlier, I spoke to the owner.
Absolutely gutted, because it's all I've got, apart from my family. This is it. This is what I've worked hard for. So, yeah. My staff, it's my daughter that works for me, so it's not just me that suffers, it's her. In fact, I think she's took it worse than I have. She's 3 children, and yeah, no job, no income for Christmas, and yeah, this is where we are.
Well, an online fundraiser has begun to help out those staff, and police are appealing for any witnesses. Helen Steele, ITV News in Huddersfield.
Yes, well, those are the main stories from us.
They certainly are. Let's brighten up the programme a little bit now with a story, well, it all centres on financial decisions and making as much money as possible. No, don't worry, we're not talking about today's budget anymore, but a board game which many of us grew up with and still might play today.
Yes, first made in America, production moved to the Leeds-based Waddington's Toy Company, which then closed in the 90s.
Now, it's known for bringing families together and then, well, tearing them apart. The game is marking its 90th anniversary, as Lauren Hall reports.
At the Treehouse Board Game Cafe in Sheffield, their game for any game. And there's one that everyone knows how to play.
Be everywhere a little bit. So not focus on just one street, just be everywhere. Yeah.
I have a strategy and it's never worked.
It invokes a lot of emotion. I feel like everyone is very competitive and wants to win, and probably the money involved.
This game started 90 years ago, and it was an American toy company who made the first move, buying the rights and putting it into production. Soon it was the turn of Waddington's, a toy company based in Leeds. It took a chance and came up with the bright idea of creating a London version of the game. Then it was full steam ahead. The board game was soon monopolising the market and proving pretty profitable.
This is the original American design, and it still looks very familiar. It's not changed that much over the years, but it has inspired many different versions of Monopoly, including quite a few based on places in the Calendar region. There's a Monopoly Leeds, a Monopoly Sheffield. There's even a Yorkshire Dales edition.
Over the years, it's got bigger and bigger.
Shall we go? Absolutely. And as we head around the board, is it fair to say there have been quite a few players before us?
Yeah, Monopoly's been played by over 1 billion players in 114 countries around the world. It's really part of our culture now and our language. I mean, how often do you hear people say, get out of jail free?
Well, we all need a get out of jail free card.
We sure do.
Parents certainly do, especially over the festive season. Many turn to board games to keep their families entertained, whether it's the old classics or some of the newer ones, like those seen at this industry event where they've been unveiling the top toys for Christmas.
It's one of the biggest categories in the industry. There's party games, there's preschool games, there's strategy games, there's role play games. You know, even things like Pokemon is a trading card game. So the games might evolve into different markets, but there'll always be a place for a good game.
So it seems we'll never get bored of board games. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Who do you like to be when you're the counter on Monopoly?
Oh, I like to be the car.
You like to be the car,
I like
do
to
you?
be the car, yes, I do. What about you?
What do I like? I quite like the dog or the iron. I quite like.
Yeah,
It's
really.
a bit boring, isn't it, the sound of an iron?
They need
but
an
I don't know, it's
umbrella,
like-
don't they? An umbrella for Keza.
For the weather?
Yeah,
That's
what a shame
she'd
there isn't
like.
one.
What would you like?
The top hat covers you a little bit, doesn't it?
Of course, protects you from the weather.
Yes. Well, it was a race against time this morning to get the best of the actual weather. Were you out this morning? It was so beautiful.
Oh, it was beautiful, yeah. I mean, a little bit cold, but
Oh,
if you
it's
wrapped
worth
up
it.
warm, put
It
some
was
gloves on.
So frosty. Even at the side of the road in Denbydale, Paula got these beautiful frosty leaves, as did Sue Billcliffe on the petals. Of course, any moisture freezing over last night because we were sub-zero, especially where we didn't have our data sites in our what we call frost hollow. So I've used Winnett's Pass as an example here. The clearer the skies by night and the lighter the winds, the colder the air. Colder air is dense and it sinks really quickly, what we call katabatic winds actually. The cold air runs downhill and basically all the cold air sits in the vales and the valleys. So that's why you get the lowest of the temperature. So it was -6 °C on our data sites last night, but anywhere even more rural than that in the vales and valleys would have been colder. So it was a bit of a shock to see this, a little bee out and about today. I think it knows a little bit of something that we don't know, because not only does it sense, of course, the weather conditions that we've got at the moment, there's also quite a bit of research to say that it's really good at forecasting and it can sense air pressure. And I think this bee's right, because we've got a massive change. -6 °C at 5 o'clock this morning, but we've currently got a weather system changing the whole story as we head deeper into this evening and overnight tonight.
Look at that.
And by 5 o'clock tomorrow, 9 or 10, the bee's going to be really happy. It's already prepared. And daytime values will also change. 6, 7 today at best. Most of us have just been below 6. Tomorrow, we're looking at 13s or 14s. Wow. Here is your forecast.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, cloud has been invading from the west today. Shame really, a beautiful, crispy, frosty start this morning. Plenty of blue sky, but cloud continuing to build as we head through this evening and overnight tonight. The temperatures rising, yes, and also the winds strengthening. So although it will be milder tomorrow, it's a very different story. It's all to do with this weather front that is now approaching from the west across all parts of the region during the course of this evening. So we're starting to lose those clear skies even in the far east of the region. So overnight tonight, cloudy skies, outbreaks of rain, a few heavy pulses, but moving through quite quickly, leaving a legacy of cloud for much of the night. Again, there'll still be some showers into the early hours. The wind's starting to pick up, certainly over higher ground where it'll be misty and murky and damp. And yes, as I've already said, those temperatures in double figures for many by the time we reach dawn. So not as pretty tomorrow morning as it was this morning, and not as cold. Very sometimes 7:54 and 3:53. So tomorrow it will be a mainly cloudy day, a damp start as well, some showery outbreaks, limited brighter breaks further east, poor visibility over high ground for the Pennines, misty and murky here, gusts possibly 30 to 40 miles an hour for the coasts and the hills, and temperature wise well above what we've been used to over the last few days, 13 or 14 Celsius. Another front coming through tomorrow evening, leaving a brighter, fresher day on Friday, but still with a mix of sunshine and blustery showers, temperatures nearer normal. And then into the weekend, at this stage, it definitely looks like Sunday is the best day at the moment.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Keza, you said Sunday might be the best, but what's happening on Saturday?
That's because we've got an area of low pressure and there's still a bit of a question mark about how far north and how far south it goes. So it could be wet and windy, or it could be a little bit drier, especially the further north you are. So that's the latest.
We need to ask the bee. The bee would
No,
know.
the bee would know, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's it. Have a good evening. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Bye-bye.